How do we view soldiers fighting? How do we view generals who come out with statements, we'll kill Hamas, we'll destroy them, it's us? How do we view generals and leaders who do not acknowledge at all there's a Rebbeinu Shloilom who's helping them, not asking for Siyata Dishmaya, and not giving thanks if they're successful? So how do we view the army in general? B'etzem, when I was young, when I was a bocher, there was more achdus, and there was more of a connection between the high echelons of the army and the Gedolei Ador. Whether the rumors, and they are pretty justified and validated rumors which seem to be emes, but there are no rumors like that nowadays, so that shows the difference. That when, before often, the army would come to Gedolei Ador, to Avshach, etc., and tell him, we are now going to do something dangerous, we need a Siyata Dishmaya, we need you to daven, we need you to learn. And there was this sort of understanding that we are one, there's a nation here, we're all one, that's your job, you do it, and we'll do our job, and we'll do it better if you help us. Nowadays we don't see that. But we have to understand, so what are we supposed to do? Avada and Avada, there's no question, this was default, this was posh understanding. We daven our hearts out, we learn our hearts out, we say Tehillim, etc., for the success of the soldiers who are fighting to save Klal Yisrael. We have to understand there's two bechinas here. People who are killed because they are Jewish, there's a bechina of Kiddush Hashem, and we have to understand Choshev point. People who are killed because they're Jewish, it doesn't matter which part of Klal Yisrael they come from, because if that would have been a Kehillah, Torah, Mitzvah, Shomer Shabbos, etc., all by the board, they've also got killed. So they're being killed because they're Yidden, and a Yid is a Yid, whether he's keeping Shabbos, whether he's not keeping Shabbos, whether he's Chiloni, whether he's Tinuk Shenishba, whether he's a Choshev Yid, whether he's a Talmid Chacham. The Tzad HaShovah is a Yid, and they want to kill Jews, not Dafka non-from people, not Dafka from people, not any particular part of Klal Yisrael. They want to kill Jews. Memela, this is an attack on Yidden, and someone who dies because he's a Yid, there's a tzad to say he's a Kiddush, he's died as Kiddush Hashem, like in the Holocaust. But the second point is as follows. There was one of the Gedolim recently, not so long ago, he said that a soldier, a Chayal, who's fighting, has a bechina of Harugei Lud. Harugei Lud, the case, not clear what the actual scenario was, but Rashi brings down one scenario was that the king's daughter was murdered, and the Kehillah of Klal Yisrael was accused, and they were facing certain death, all of them, and two men volunteered, the Harugei Lud, even though they didn't do it, they volunteered to admit their guilt, to confess their guilt. Thereby the king would kill them and leave Klal Yisrael alone. They are called Harugei Lud, and the Gemara says we can't stand in their mechitza. And this Gadol said a soldier has a bechina of Harugei Lud. What is Harugei Lud? Harugei Lud means that someone who's facing certain death and they give up their lives to save the klal. And that is such a big act, such a grand act, such a great ma'aser, that person in Olam Emes, no one can stand in the mechitza. They have such a zchus. So, if we try and use the analysis, the similarity, what the Gadol is saying, and l'chayra the diuk in his word is that a soldier who goes to offer up his life on behalf of the klal, and that's why he's doing it, and that's what he's doing it for. If he's killed because he's Jewish, that's one bechina of Kiddush Hashem. Here we're talking about something more than that. Someone who goes out and offers up his life to save a klal has a bechina of Harugei Lud. So, is it exactly the same? Because is it certain death? Is it possible death? Is it exactly the same idea? That we can think about. That's something that can be thought about, spoken about, etc. But the bottom bechina is there's a vada bechina, a facet of Harugei Lud, which means one can't stand in their mechitza. So if you have a soldier, it doesn't matter whether we go to the army or not. That's irrelevant, and it was never relevant to the Gedolim. It was never relevant to the yeshivas. We understood that soldiers going out to offer up their lives, to put themselves in danger danger, life-threatening danger, because that's what a battle is, that's what a war is. We daven for them. They are on a daga, so to speak, close, akin to those of Harugei Lud. And therefore we daven and we pray. We daven and we pray, we say Tehillim. Torah tells us, Elef Lemata, the time of Milchemes Midyon, there was 1,000 went to the front. Apparently they went to the war with 1,000 davening and 1,000 fighting. And there was a shutfus between them. And therefore we understand that our shutfus, our chelik in this, is to daven and to pray for the success. There's a problem of that the success should create Kiddush Hashem. Rav Shach and other Gedolim were cognizant of this fact, but it didn't stop them davening. You have to daven for the Atzol of Klal Yisrael. And it's even if you want to be selfish, the Atzol of yourself. They're keeping you safe. They're keeping us safe. So mehechetesi not. There's no shaila, unequivocal. There's no question. We need to daven. Soldiers should stay safe. They should be menatzech the enemies, but they should come from that. Avada, we hold there has to be a Kiddush Hashem coming from that, and Chas Shalom not a Chilul Hashem. And let me say the following point: in experience that we have now, could be that the generals, the high echelons, perhaps the government, do not mention HaKadosh Baruch Hu, don't say B'Shat D'Shmai, Be'ez Hashem, don't say thank you Hashem. I guarantee you that every single soldier on the front line, if he's got a Yiddish and a Neshama, if he's a Jew and he's a Jewish soldier, he's got Yiddish and a Neshama, when he's actually going into battle, he davens. He's close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because facing death and facing certain death, almost, or possible death, in a front line situation, that's when a person turns to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and there's no shaila, the actual foot soldiers, the infantry and the tanks and the people in the tanks, etc., and the artillery, and then the chayalim and the chayil avir and the chayil hayam who are actually fighting. They want us to daven. They say, we know that davening will help. We know Siyata D'Shmai. We ask for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We want to wear tzitzis and so on and so forth. The higher echelons, we don't know what to say, but the army itself, those who are fighting, want us to daven. So there's no excuse, there's no shaila. We have to daven our hearts out, deliber, and plea and daven, because that's part of our chelik in how to help Klal Yisrael win. Because we do know there's a Rabbeinu Shloim, we do know there's a hashgacha from Kodesh Baruch Hu, we do know the army can't do it by itself. Lo bizroya, as the Ramban says, the reason why we have to have Machanechel Kodesh. The Ramban says, the Ramban ala Torah, why do you have to have all these dinim of Machanechel Kodesh? He says to remind you that it's not B'koach Hazroya. We're not going to win we're not going to beat the enemy just by the physical prowess, just by the Koach of Yetziv Yodi. And to remind you of that, that's why we have the halachas in the Machaneh of Tzaya, the halachas of Ereva, etc., which are the halachas of Machanechel Kodesh, to remind us of that. So we know that Avada, these soldiers are saving our lives, and therefore we have to acknowledge that. Not just acknowledge that, it's us, and therefore we need to daven, say Tehillim as much as we can, so on and so forth. That's what they want, and that's our chiyuv at this time.